to the place where singles shine, celebrating life, divine by design. Faith and love, we intertwine. Route 77, where your journey's prime.
Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. After a rough week off, thanks to allergies, headaches, and all that fun stuff, we're back. And today we're talking about something most of us have had interesting experiences with: dating. When is it too early? Is high school dating ever a good idea? What are we even looking for when we start dating someone? From awkward teenage crushes to real talk about guarding your heart and walking with Christ, we're getting into the early side of dating today. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. I'm your host, Natasha, and I am here with Monique and David.
Hello.
And we are here after having a week off because I was super sick. Allergies, headaches, throwing up, all the fun stuff. It was just, I just couldn't get it done. I was sick right over the time we usually record and even the next day. And it was just like, you know what? We just have to call it a week and try again next week. Hopefully one day we can get a few episodes ahead so that if we do have an off week, we can have some in the bank. But right now we're not at that point. So future endeavor. Maybe we'll just talk like 2 hours long today and it'll have to be a two-parter. I don't know.
Depends upon what we talk about.
Yes, we start with the topic and it sometimes goes on to a different way of thinking about it that we didn't originally think. So
It's been a long day. Long
Monique's work day.
Yep.
My kind of work day was like a weird little bit of
Off and on.
everything today.
Off, on, here, there.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I
So-
had a 20-hour workday yesterday. 6:30.
That's nasty too.
Got up at 6:30, went to bed at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. That's gross. I like my 9 to 5.
Yeah, right?
So today's topic,
It's something we have great experience in. We were just discussing it before I record.
and I said, wait, we need to discuss this with the record on.
Yes. Quick,
'Cause-
stop
'cause-
talking.
yeah.
We don't want to miss the...
Because I had mentioned that, as much as I've had experience in dating, my experience has not been good experience. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, did I actually date? I don't think I actually dated. Usually when you think of dating, it's like they come and pick you up and you go to something over there and you go and have dinner and you maybe go to a movie and then he takes you home and because, you're supposed to be home at a certain time, but I never did that.
I guess maybe when Steven and I were going out courting or whatever you want to call it, like we kind of had some of those days. But to be honest, when you look back, all of the times that we're with him were very stressful and you're walking on eggshells the whole time, trying to keep, you're kind of I was going through that love struck phase of being like insanely emotionally involved in a sense of like lots of high run of emotions, but then also dealing with the like constant like eggshells so that you're trying not to upset him and
Yeah.
set him off. And so that was my like one and only experience with courtship / dating.
Well, and all my dating experiences happened before I became a Christian. So I from the secular side, my advice is probably bad. Because, with most of the time, it's just there's always, if they take you out, there's expectation of something more to, after the fact. I think maybe a little bit when I was a mid-teenager, but even then there was the pressure to give in to, to the sexual thing. And at that time, I didn't have that kind of like, what do you mean? And it was just, and it was that attitude that said, well, we don't have to date because, I'm not getting anything out of this relationship. When you're a young teenager, you're just kind of like, oh, well, I don't want to, I and I think your self-worth, your self-esteem will have something to do with how you react to that kind of a, how I am now. If somebody talked to me that way, I'm just like,
See
all
ya.
right then, see
Yeah.
ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. I'm just going to make myself exit stage left. But back then when you're a teenager and you're still trying to discover who you are, those kind of things can be. So I would suggest don't do it. Don't date when you're a teenager because your emotions are all over the map and you're still
Yeah.
trying to discover who you are.
And a lot of it's hard. I think it's hard to not date in the sense of like you do have all these emotions and you honestly feel like you love somebody or you intensely like them and want to, and you may have the idea of this could be forever. Like we see so many, you know, movies and books and everything, which is about like, finding that one. And so when you're going
And
through the
living happily ever after.
yeah, and when you're going through that like initial part of your teenage years when your hormones are changing and flexing and you're trying to figure out what everything is, and all of a sudden boys and girls become interesting and you start to feel these things, and that these feelings feel totally real and as real as you would expect them to be because you don't know any different.
Right, right.
So it's
Yep.
really hard to as a teenager or whatever to really be like, I shouldn't date because like you're actually feeling like this whole part of your life is just opened up to you and the possibilities are there and you see everything's about all the movies, all the books, all the things are about finding that one and being with the one. And so it's hard, I think, for a teenager not to want to experience it and follow those feelings.
Maybe they shouldn't read those books or watch those movies.
Some of the young adult um books, which are not really young adult, I would say they were like pornographic books, like X-rated. So very
Erotica. Yeah.
yes, it's like I accidentally stumbled on it because I my brain doesn't think in the sense of like I should look out for this, and I'm just like, oh, this is a popular series right now. People are talking about it. Let's see what it's about. And you're like, oh wow, okay. It's a little bit of story in between really big graphic sex scenes, and you're like, okay, well, now I have to look out for that.
You get that with the
I had that YouTube. I'm listening to one of my political news feeds, and all of a sudden it breaks into a commercial, and I'm just like, my ears, what am I listening to? What the heck? And then you've got these couple in there, just like, what are you doing on YouTube? On this, get off, get off. It's just like I'm at work. I don't need that in my head about, and they're on the phone and they're just like, no, don't go there. Stop. Whatever you're doing. And I'm just like, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Skip, 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 skip.
I know, right? It's just like,
And I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination, but that was just like, my ears, where's the bleach?
wait, right?
But it's that it's on YouTube like that. You would not. Well, I guess
It just-
YouTube has got everything. And the
Yeah,
funny thing is,
but pop in though is like,
you can't talk about bang bang pew pews, or or this
unaliving yourself and things like that.
unaliving your and you have to mask, but they'll put that. That is okay, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
because it's not the same form of harming in the way that the other things you mentioned.
I have something to say about that.
Well, in regards to their perspective and context,
Exactly,
it's not
exactly.
the same harming in the sense,
No.
right?
Oh, it's just, everybody's doing it. So,
Everybody's bang bang pew pewing, but we don't, it seems when you look at the
especially
news.
now.
But yeah, but I think it has to do with a lot of like the trauma triggers. And so people are maybe like, because even when it comes to assault and more than assault, again, we have to sort of skirt around these words.
Salt, pepper,
Yeah.
salt.
like those things when it comes to sex can be traumatic, but then this whole like pornographic area where it's supposed to be like romantic love um is theoretically not um
Triggering.
trauma triggering to trauma victims.
Hmm.
And so that's I think the main reason they do these things, but still it's just like got a tail over there. I got
You missed
head
his
over here.
face.
Oh,
He was looking over my shoulder going, what are you doing?
what's going on?
Yes.
So yeah, so these things are like so out there. And like yeah, as we get older, there's like the sex drive goes down a bit and you like it's not your like you're not
Primary goal.
so yeah, your sole focus of life is not in that. And it's just find it interesting like when we like I've been watching The Big Bang Theory quite a number of times lately. I don't know, it's my go-to to nap to and whatever. But when
I
you
think you've been through all the series now in the last couple of months, 4, 5, 6, 10 times.
to be fair, I do sleep through quite a few of them because I nap to them. So I don't necessarily watch them all, but it is my go-to for my quick, eating food or whatever.
This is why I'm so happy I have a TV in my room. It's like, oh, not this show again.
And again, I get
And
through it.
I can't go there.
But what I found interesting is like these people, they start off in their late 20s, mid to late 20s, essentially. And it's very much like sex oriented at the beginning in the sense of like they're always looking for a partner. It's like that's the sole and only goal in life. And the characters, some of them can be very like Howard at the beginning is like so creepily like
Yeah, he's a
obsessed
little.
by it. But then as they go through and as the series keeps going, I think they realize that they couldn't just keep that sort of two-dimensional character going. They had to actually grow them. And as they get older, they start to find like serious significant others. And like even say Leonard before he got with Penny was with like Raj's sister for quite a while, but he was like kind of serious within it, like of being a serious relationship as opposed to just a one-off thing. So like that became more important because I think people realize like one, as you get older, you can't if you have like 35-year-olds acting like a 25-year-old, like people start going like, are they
Aren't you
ever going to
growing
grow
up?
up? Yeah. And also they also realize that if you just consistently make you're so shallow about this one-off things, like those like people will lose interest because they're very shallow characters.
Yeah.
And I just found it interesting that as time goes on, like the characters mature and grow and develop monogamous relationships and families and things like that within the 12 years the series ran. Because if they didn't do that, like the series would not have run as long as it did, I don't think.
Probably not. No, even with its comedic
It goes,
aspects,
yeah.
like with Howard, Mr. Creepy, he
Yeah.
actually found a girl who was willing to marry him, which
Yeah.
wow.
Found. I
And-
wouldn't really
and-
say found. Penny kind of just here.
Here's a girl for
Yeah.
you.
He's a girl. Boop. There you go.
But they grew him up where that
Yeah.
creepy aspect actually went away, and
Yeah.
he actually became a husband, father, kind of.
Yeah.
I
And
think
it was,
I think he was the one that grew up the most.
yeah, I think he developed the most as a character. But I think originally, I know this isn't a podcast about Big Bang Theory, but I think originally Raj and Howard's characters weren't meant to be main or like kind of long term. And then the people realized that people like them, and then so they had to develop them. And that's the thing, like that's kind of the point I'm making is that like we can't just take these things that these tropes or these like very shallow traits and think that's all there is to life, or that's what we need, like that's what you need to be fulfilled and stuff, because it's like that's the point, is like those things would not be fulfilling to those characters.
No.
And people would not like care about them or, come alongside them while they did this, because they would just be like, okay, this is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll just kind of throw back to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you're back from that time with Will Smith when he did his thing, what I found was, like, as a kid, we watched it and my parents were like, okay, you can watch it. But I know my dad wasn't a big fan of it and I never really understood why, because I was like, it's funny and whatever. And then I think maybe like a decade ago now or whatever, I actually watched the series through beginning to end, because when you're watching it sort of on syndicated TV, it's just like you're constantly kind of going in and out of, you don't actually watch any progression. And if you look at it, you realize that Will Smith's character never actually matures ever. Like, all of the other kids, like his cousins, even Hillary, like, all mature and grow and develop and move on with their lives. And then by the time Will's supposed to figure out what he's doing after high school or college or whatever, like, he has no idea, because he never actually took anything seriously. And he never really developed as a character.
That's sad.
Yeah, it actually, when I watched it, I was like, wow, like, there's a tiny bit of growth, but other than then, like, the basic, he just had the same flippant attitude all the way through. And as you go through, like, Ashley goes off to college, she has a purpose, Carlton has a purpose, Hillary has a purpose, and then Will's just sort of like, what am I supposed to do with my life? It's just like, and it was like, yeah, and I could see maybe that's one of the things my dad didn't really like, was that the fact that, like, the character never really matured and never showed any growth, and it was always just sort of flippant and juvenile. And yeah, there was some like, he was a good actor, and so, like, he had some comedic, moments and stuff like that. But it's important to see that people have depth and can change, even when you have like one-off series, like, not like now where they actually every series is like a one giant movie cut up into small pieces. Like, even when you go through any of those series from the times of the 1990s or 2000s or whatever, even though you could basically go in or out of any single episode for any season essentially, and go and know what's going on, because the story is sort of one off, there's this gradual progression for the character, because if they never progress, then people don't care anymore.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that's the thing too, that as teenagers, we don't realize is that this crazy thing that's happening with your emotions is short-lived in your teenage years, really. Because once you hit into your 20s even, they start to settle a little bit more, and your mind is not on just what's happening to you, but where you're going and what you want to achieve. And when you're a teenager, well, you think you're indestructible.
And you're also, they've actually proven, like, psychologically, that the development of long-term, like, the ability to see long-term consequences, like, takes time, and it actually takes longer for men than women. Which is why you see a lot more, like, say, teen guys doing stuff which you consider stupid or whatever, like, or you're gonna kill yourself or whatever. But it doesn't mean anything like that women are better or anything. It's just different. That But, like, the fact that that's why, a lot of times, like, one of the reasons that people are fighting against this, the transitioning minors, is the fact that they don't have that capability, like transitioning for transgender things, like these
Right.
surgeries. Like, they're saying, like, oh, this 14-year-old has, they want this. They understand the ramifications, but they literally don't have the mental capabilities to understand it, because they have not developed it yet. And it's nothing against them as a person, but it's just like, like, a 14-year-old does not understand what life might be like without ever being able to have children, because you did something to your body to make you infertile.
Yeah.
And you think you do, because at 14, who's really thinking about becoming a parent? Oh, I don't want kids anyway, or whatever. But then when you get to your 20s and you actually look back and you go, man, I really didn't know what it would be like. And whether or not you regret the transition is one thing, but, like, I bet if you talk to any, I don't know, I haven't talked to them, but even people who don't regret the transition, if they do or not, would you say to that, previous person that they understood the full ramifications of it or not at that age. And I think that's the bigger issue, is that that's the reason why they're minors. There's a reason why you have to become of legal age to do things.
Yep.
That's
I mean, you have to be a certain age to start driving a car.
yeah, like seriously, like a 14 or 15-year-old could theoretically drive. Like they might be tall enough and big enough to reach the pedals and understand to signal when you turn and stuff like that. But like I said, they don't have the long-term consequential understanding to make decisions
Mhm.
in the moment and things like that. And so they might be like, oh, what's the point in driving, 80 and instead of 120? Even though people do it, like I think in general, people understand, like adults, they might do it anyway, but the risk analysis, like they do understand that there's a risk to it more than a person who's younger.
And this is why when you are a much older senior than me, you find that they really they stick to the speed limits. They don't go those, and part of it I wonder is like, is it a fear thing, or is it more like they're just a lot more cautious now?
Yeah.
I never asked.
You'll have to figure out when you get there.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Or that just seems very fast. It seems like you're going 120 when you're going 80 at that age. I
That's
don't
a
know.
possibility. Like I said, I'm not there yet either. 80 in a place where you're used to doing 100, but they're saying you have to do 80 is just like, this is taking forever to
So
get
slow.
so slow. Well, and if you're in Canada and you don't know this right now, I'm going to give you a
Or if
little
you're
bit
in
of a
BC anyway.
yeah. Well, it's actually in all of Canada. All of Canada, every school zone, if you're not already doing it, 24/7 as of July 1st, 30 kilometers as of July 1st, 24/7. Doesn't matter which province, which city, which town. That's going to be the new law across Canada.
So
I
currently in BC,
always
it's
look
only school
forward to.
days. I know. Then you can go the 50.
I could do the 50 instead of the 30. Now
So
I
yeah,
can-
if you're not aware, in BC right now, it's only on school days and school hours. Well, the hours they consider is between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. that you have to go to 30 during school days. So during the summer months, holiday weekends, you can go like the 50, which is like the standard city driving.
What about summer school?
and
They
no, these
Yeah.
are where school zones are posted.
Yeah, but he's asking what about those going to summer school?
Where would they go to summer school?
At the
Some of the high
school.
schools do that.
Oh, do they? High schools don't have the school zone speed limit. It's only elementary schools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one other thing that I'm pretty sure people don't know, that playground zones are from sunup to sundown. We have one that just down the road here. And it's a pet peeve of mine because it's posted 30 for a reason. It's because there could be a child that dashes out into the middle of the street. That's his playground zones.
Yeah.
So I'm driving. It's 6:00 in the evening. The sun has not come down. I don't have my lights on. It's still bright and sunny. It's still 30 kilometers. This is not like a school zone. So I have a funny feeling that playground zones might be included in that 30 kilometer per hour, 24/7. I think for playground zones,
Yeah, we'll
should
have
be
to see.
anyways.
So yeah, so that's just like a thing, sidebar
Sidebar
about that. But
about how we change.
yes,
This is
and how we understand. So yeah, so getting back to dating. No, just kidding.
back to dating.
So just really that early time, because I think that's one of the most important ones to think about, is what age or stage of life is too early. And it's I never want to say like high school never works out and high school romances never work out, because I do know somebody personally who was dating in high school and they got married just after, and they're still together to this day. They went to high school at the same time I did. So like I know it's definitely something that can happen. There's a high school sweetheart thing, college sweetheart, those things happen. But don't assume that. Like, I think when you're making decisions about things that you're dating and what you're doing during dating and what how far you want to go and things like that. It really needs to be like kind of just.
Yeah.
I kind of tell people because I know not everybody has the same belief system that I do and the more and that Christians do. And so I kind of just recommend like if you're not like don't do something that you're not ready for. So if you're not ready to be a parent, then don't do something that could make you a parent.
And if it would make you embarrassed by your parents, don't do it. If you know your parents would be very disappointed in you, don't do it. I had, when I was in high school, I always had and speaking of that, dating because, I want to have that high school sweetheart and get married right out of high school. That was me. Ask me how that worked out.
Yeah, it goes up and down.
I wasn't actually even dating it. Like I had dated this one guy talking about gaslighting. There's always that too. So, and he was he was so cute. His name was Vince. Can't remember. Anyways. So, started dating him. He says, yep, I'll give you a call later on such and such a night. And I'm sitting waiting for him to call. No call. Oh, yeah, I was out with my friends and I forgot. I will call you this Friday. Maybe we'll go out. I'll call you, say about 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock came and went. No call. The whole weekend came and went. No call. Monday came around and I'm going, no call. So, oh, yeah, I was with my friends. I forgot. Oh, well, ain't that nice. Bye. So long. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Yeah, that was my high school dating experience. So yeah, not going there. Didn't that's so and kids, your kids do stupid things. And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's like we gotta understand. This is why we have this podcast is partly to understand what singleness is. And if you are not a complete and full person as a single person, then you are not ready to date. If you're not complete in Christ, if you are not content and satisfied in Christ, then I don't believe that you're ready to date because you'll be dating for the wrong reasons because you'll be expecting the person to fulfill something in you that was never meant to be fulfilled by a human person. It was meant to be fulfilled by God.
Right.
And I can tell you this for sure. If you try to fill that spot with a human person, they will let you down every time.
Uh-huh.
And that's not really knocking them as a person. Like they could be like a wonderful Christian, healthy person, but they were not meant to fill that spot.
Like, I mean, if you knew Jesus in person and still betrayed him, well, then how well do you think someone else is gonna treat you? Like,
Yeah.
the expectation is just should be with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I wasn't a Christian when I was in high school. I didn't become a Christian until I was in my mid-20s. And it's the lessons that I've learned since, I really wish I'd have learned them then. But my and no fault of my parents because they just did what they believed was right, and that is for most of our parents, they did the best they could with what they had. What the knowledge that they had growing up is what the knowledge that they took with them. And I mean, I think we're a little bit more of well, I'd hope we're a little bit more knowledgeable. Although sometimes I wonder if that's really true. But as parents, do we know more now than, oh, I'm not going to make the mistakes that they made. So we make different mistakes.
You make whole new mistakes.
We make all whole new mistakes. So, there's nothing new under the sun, just so you know that. So my parents did the best that they could, gave me what information that they had. But they were not, I think parents nowadays, I think, I'm not sure. I know I would have talked more with your children about about life, about what to expect and where where your life can go, and the things that can happen, and the things that you don't want to happen, and how you can protect yourself and respect yourself, and have dignity, and ethics, morals, that kind of thing. Um, I lost my opportunity. My poor little baby. She never got to have all of that kind of stuff from her mama. She didn't need it. She's a good girl. She didn't need my wealth of wisdom.
But that's why we're giving it out here.
So that's why I'm giving it all out here. Let me tell you, you don't want to give it away if one of my dads says, you don't they don't want to buy the cow if they get the milk for free. What does that mean? I don't understand. I ain't a farmer. We live in the city. I kind of was like,
Okay then, Dad. Thank you.
sure. And then, he would tell me now be good. Well, when you're not a Christian, that can mean a few different other things. So, that wasn't a very good thing to say either.
Yeah.
So there are other ways of talking to your kids, to inform them, and be, to say, you really need to know this kind of information, because I don't want you to be hurt. This is why I'm telling you this. And this is why God says the same thing, like to not give yourself away before you're married.
Mhm.
Because when
Well,
you
Song
do,
of Songs constantly says, "Do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires," in a
Mm.
sense of like when it should be, not
right.
previous.
Yeah. Like for when you're married, because that kind of thing can get you into very dangerous territory. And it also, like, take it from me, when you break up, because,
That can happen.
well, and there's no commitment. It's just, you're just here for fun. And it's just like, well, that may be you, but I was thinking more long term. You weren't thinking long term? Oh, so now they're gone, and you're left with the scars of what the relationship did to you, because you invested more than you should have. Um, don't believe when they say, "Oh, you just don't love me. That's why you're not." No,
Mhm.
that's got nothing to do with nothing like that. So,
And I think too, it's just like a lot of times we try to figure out like where the line is. We go like, well, what's okay when you're dating? What's not going to do this? What's okay? Can I hold hands? Can I kiss? Can I kiss but not on the lips? Is it touching? Is it, what is okay? But I think that
how
is
far is
almost,
too far?
yeah, but I think the problem is like when you're trying to find the edge of the line, like you're trying to you're flirting with danger right there.
You're already asking the
Because
wrong question.
you're asking for like where can I bend this, or like where's any loopholes that I might be able to find? Like you're trying to trod right up until the edge of that cliff and not fall over.
Where is that line in the sand? It keeps
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah, and it can get kind of pushed, and so it's really important to understand like why are you asking these questions? Like yeah, one is good to understand like that you don't want to fall into sin. So you're trying to understand like we do like cut and dry, like this is a sin, this is not a sin, like for every specific instance. And yet God does not give us that specifically like do not kiss before you're married, or hand holding's okay, but hugging from the front is not, or whatever. I don't know. There's like so many different like things that people have.
Right.
Like I
Wasn't that in that silly book that was out?
think
I'd never been
hugging, side hugging, and I've never
side.
been kissed, and that things.
Right.
Anyways, like there's all these like I don't know things.
Yeah.
Uh,
But then you get into legalistic territory, where it's just like, don't do this. Oh, you can do this, but don't do that. And it's more like, what when you're thinking, and maybe this is one of the things that the pastor that I talked to would ask, well, how does a Christian date? Because I've been in secular world. I know what they do. This is Christian. That's a whole new territory for me. So what is, and instead of, saying, oh, you're a Jezebel, Is saying like, why are you asking this question and why is it important to you?
Mhm. And then I think too, like the whole understanding of what singleness is. It's,
Yeah.
and what it means to be a full, complete human with Christ. And I don't think the church ever, as a whole, I'm not saying every single church, but as a whole, that I've heard, often teaches about that part of your life and how you should, like, we always teach it as a general principle. Like, we should be complete in Christ. Like, but as a general principle, but not actually like, how does this look as a single person? What does this mean when it comes to finding a spouse? Instead of saying, oh, you have to get married, like that's what, we have to like grow the church, or, stop putting that the world is saying that marriage isn't good. So we need to make it marriage good. Like it's all for and then there's so much of a stress put on it as being such a good thing and such a great thing. And if you don't do it, then like you're missing out, and then all this stuff. And it's just like, slow down.
Right.
Why her, like, try to understand, like, why, what, I tell people, like, if they're not ready for something, like, then don't get into that part of it. And
Mhm.
if you're not ready to be a parent, if you're not ready to uh be a true spouse, like what it actually means to be a wife and a husband, to
Mhm.
sacrificially love one another, to do these things, if you're not ready for that, then you're not ready for dating. And
I
it doesn't mean that you have to marry the person that you date. It does mean, I think dating is like a route to finding a spouse, but like you need to understand, like, if you're not ready for that, then why are you trying to start the search?
Right, right. And it's like anything. And these analogies were running through my head. I'm going, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like learning a new skill, whether it's like a 6-year-old learning to count will not be able to do calculus. Gotta get there first. If you learn how to play, if you know how to play an instrument, remember how long it took you to practice to get to where you were. Um, Taekwondo. We all start off as a white belt, not knowing how to kick. And we're not going to be, oh, here, do a 360 doubles, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. You gotta take your life slow. Things you gotta develop into the person that you're going to be. You're not born with all the information you need to be an adult. You're going to have to get there slowly. And when you're in that teenage years, you're still developing. You're still like your brain is still developing. A lot of you haven't even gotten to your full height yet. you there's still so much that has to come before that.
Mhm.
And I get the attraction thing because, I had crushes.
Mine was
And,
the celebrity crushes. That was like
oh, I had those
the
too.
thing.
But I actually had a crush on a guy in my school who was a drummer. But I also knew that as much as I liked him, I knew he didn't like me. And I knew that our relationship between the two of us was just not ever going to happen. So, but I could still tell myself I can still admire him, even though I will never date him. And we can have that kind of an attitude when we're in high school. I mean, like you said, occasionally you might find your high school sweetheart, but how many of those how many of those do you know?
Mhm.
You know one. I don't think I know anybody. And I went to a big high school, Calgary City, big city high school. And it wasn't just ours. There were high schools there were more than just the one high school in my area, because some of those kids that I went to elementary school with and junior high, there was like 3 junior highs and 3 high schools, and everybody went to different ones. Nobody ever went. So I don't know anybody from from that area who actually married their high school sweetheart.
Mhm. Well, I know that
It's a
somebody,
rarity.
a teenager I was talking to today, they were in a high school relationship, and they were just telling me that they were now out of that relationship, and I was just kind of saying, I'm sorry you went through that, because regardless of anything, it's usually there's some hurt that
Hurt.
happens. And they're like, it was a high school romance. It wasn't destined to go anywhere. I'm just like, then what's the point?
I know,
But my
right?
brain's going, why?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and that is when, this is a public high school that I went to. People, it's like people do that for fun.
Mhm.
They have that, oh, the romantic and the flowers and the sunshine and the birds are singing and, oh, I'm just so in love,
And all the things you see the other people, they're holding hands, they're kissing, they're hanging out, they're going on dates. So this guy, this girl, that girl. And you feel like there's the whole FOMO, right? Fear of
Yeah.
missing out, fear of missing out, and it's like the fear of missing out, I think, does lessen as you get older.
Yeah.
Because usually the missing out means that you have to go out. And most people as you get older, or at least for me anyway, I'm just like, yeah, I can't be bothered to go out.
No,
If it
no.
happened in my house, then I'd be fine. The fear of missing out does kind of go out. That you're just like, that becomes the FOGO, the fear of going out.
I have that, the very idea of meeting somebody now and having to get, oh, I got to go on a date. Does that mean I have to dress up? I have to put
Do
on
I have to
makeup?
shave my legs? Like, what? Oh my gosh, I think I lost David.
David's just like,
David's like, I've never thought that once in my entire life.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about anymore. You have lost me way back there.
I'm just.
Are you still with?
I'm just letting it play out.
It's like, if I just sit here and they will forget I hear. Well, David, you had the high school romance time in the sense of dating, right?
Once.
Yeah.
But
So what do you think about it?
it was a spontaneous thing. Kind of just happened. I wasn't targeting or looking for it or
Targeting.
You
yeah. I wasn't looking
Playing
for
Cupid,
it.
were you?
wasn't that because you couldn't really see it? No, sorry.
Just you're going there, are you? It's just
You should be really lucky that he is actually not sitting beside you.
Sitting beside me with his cane.
Smack you one. But-
Facts. Just avoidance of this. Just come and move in with you guys.
Oh dear. But imagine like now, David, you don't have any desire to date anymore. You're still in your 20s.
Yeah, I got a year left, but yeah, I guess less than a year.
Less than a year. But I mean, you'd probably have that same thing. You mean I have to get all dressed up and spend money and entertain a person I barely know?
Well,
your parents don't say.
it's that, but then I gotta go. Okay, how am I gonna get there? And you guys could just hop in your cars and just drive. I can't do that. I might have to take a 4-hour bus ride.
Get your dad to drive you. That'll look good.
He's my chaperone, don't worry.
Right.
He's here to make sure that you don't try anything with funny business with me.
Pretty much, right? Maybe we all need to go with your dad. We just
yeah.
need your protection to make sure that there's no funny business.
No, but I have no interest. I wasn't really interested, I guess, in high school either. Until that, and I guess when I started dating her, I kind of had interest. Then it broke off, and I was sad for like a month. And sad's an understatement, but it's heartbroken. But then I recovered, and I was just like, okay, I don't really have any other interest. Like, since that was spontaneous, I kind of just went back to before that. I don't really have any interest. It doesn't interest me. Or
did she pursue you, or did you pursue her?
I think so. So I'm not entirely sure, but from what I can recall, I think she did try to. I think she pursued me at first.
She thought you were a little cutie patootie, hey?
Apparently.
Yeah, girls are funny that way. You're cute. I want to date you.
But then it's not obvious. As I said, he's not 100% sure, but he thinks, because she wouldn't have been like super obvious about it. She would have been like,
No, that's another thing too. Is that I don't have, for the lack of a better word, the capacity to recognize social cues. So like, even if someone was flirting with me, I wouldn't tell at all. Like, it'd just be normal conversation. So
And that's due to your autism, right?
yes, yeah. People have to be very direct with me.
Yeah. I think I would not have, do you ever, okay, who here's seen the Jumanji, the newer movies?
The what?
I've seen
The newer Jumanji
Okay,
movies.
yeah.
only because you made me. I watched.
Yes.
I watched.
Forced to. Dang
It
it.
was
First
forced
one,
to.
against my will.
It was actually pretty
Blink
good.
twice
And
if you
because
need
I'd
help.
watched.
I couldn't help. I'm sorry.
Anybody catch the bus that just hit me? I watched the first one with
Yeah.
Robin Williams, and I really liked that one. So when the other one came out with The Rock, I'm kind of going, yeah, he doesn't have anything on Robin Williams.
Yeah. But they went a completely different direction with
They
it.
did.
And so it was good. But the one character who's basically this awkward girl ends up in the body of this beautiful girl that's like kick butt girl. And then she's supposed to flirt at one point to like distract the guards. And I'm just like, her flirting is probably what I would look like if I tried to flirt, which was like totally awkward and like, what is happening here? And I was just like, that would probably be if I tried to flirt. That was my point. It's like, if I tried to actively flirt, I don't know, I would probably just be that person. So if you ever saw that movie, that would probably be me. So I don't, I mean, I wouldn't know if people are flirting with me, but I definitely, people would probably know I'm flirting with them because it would be so bad and uncomfortable.
I don't know if I have the skill anymore. I kind of like, I don't really care. You like
It would
me?
just be like, it's all in the eyebrows, right? In the eyes.
Yep, and the blink. Amber does it. Amber does the blink. You know, the blink, 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 blink.
All it does is make me kind of dizzy.
But Amber knows how to flirt. And it's hilarious because she's so cute when she does it. Because she and I know she's a very normal girl. So she gets her eyes on a cute guy, and she's just like she does it to Daniel, and Daniel's very cute. Okay,
Yes.
he's her uncle. He is 21 years younger than me, a couple of years older than Amber, but he's a handsome guy. So when he comes to visit Amber, she flirts with him, and I know Daniel sees it too. She's like, oh my gosh, oh, she's oh, bless her heart.
Yes.
But she gives him this look that's just like, oh, you are so cute. Oh my word. Oh, she didn't get that from her mother.
These kids, they learn it from somewhere. And let's just say, my nieces and nephews will not be learning that skill from me.
You know,
Mostly because I don't have it. So
when she was about a year old, and we're in grocery store, she's sitting in the little buggy and she's holding on to the edge of and I could see her looking around me at the guy behind me. And then and I could hear the guy behind me chuckling because she was flirting with people in the grocery at a year and a half. Okay. And I'm just like, stop it. But it's too cute. What can you? I'm sorry. It's totally okay. She's cute.
babies and old people can get away with everything.
Oh, I'm getting to that stage. I'm almost an
there.
old person. I can get away with stuff. I like
Just
that.
be like, I was too old to deal with this stuff.
Yeah, wait till I start getting ornery.
Yeah. The opposite of flirt.
The opposite of flirt. Shut up. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
But yeah, I know we haven't talked too much about dating itself, but I think maybe this is a topic we can, run with for a few weeks. Because we're already at almost the hour mark, and we've basically been talking about dating as a teenager, which none of us are anymore, but we've all experienced the teenage years, and we see things that we can learn from our past, or we wish we could have told our teenage selves. And we're telling teenagers that if they're listening, that this is some truths that we found out later in life. So yeah, definitely Do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. Song of Songs 8:4. It's a very interesting book. And also Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a time for everything.
Yep.
And there is a time for romantic love. It may not come in a person's life, but there's a time and a place for things. People always say there's a time and a place for that. There's a
Yep.
time and a place for that. And usually they say that when it's not this time.
Yep. Like don't do it just because everybody else is doing it. Don't date because you're bored. You know, there's
Or you think that your fear of missing out.
everybody everywhere I look, there's couples, and I'm not a couple.
Hallelujah.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Yeah, right. Yes, I don't have to spend all my energy having to entertain.
Yes. So just think, it's like, it's good. It's like there's times for there's a time to be single.
Yep.
Time to be married for people, some people. And the time to be single is a time to rejoice. It's a time to grow in Christ. It's a time to use for the kingdom and the way that God wants you to use it. Remember, it's a unique time that you have. There's pros and cons to everything, and there's pros to singleness that you don't have as a married person. And we do talk about that in a lot of our podcasts. But yeah, it's just to remember, like it is harder. Like we were saying at the beginning, it is harder as a teenager when you are getting all the hormones going through you. You're discovering that you're attracted to people, and you discover that you have these emotions and feelings, and they can go strong quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why it's extra important. Like when it says, do not arouse or awaken love, like those are words that require action.
Oh, what about Proverbs 4:23? Above all else, guard your heart. And I've seen this in dramas that I've watched where you've got that one person who is so toxic about their feelings for this person who has zero interest. Read the room. Do
Yeah.
they really have interest in you? Just because you like that person so much and they have to like me back. No, they don't. Nobody.
But even if the other person really likes you and you really like them, it doesn't mean that it's the right time.
Look at Jim Elliot and Elizabeth Elliot. It was 10
Talk about
years
them
from the time, they met, and then they went on mission trips and mission fields separately, and it was 10 years before they actually were rejoined together and got married.
And yeah, so it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen, even with that person.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just not meant for now. And I think as a teenager, a lot of these things are not meant for that time.
Yeah.
There's so much more that needs to go on first in your life before you start to go down those roads. And so that's when you have to actually guard yourself towards those things.
Yeah.
Like guard yourself from getting too emotionally kind of, a lot of it's infatuation because there's like a lot of like, not even sinful fantasies going on in your head, but then you start to think about, oh, what would it be like if I got married to this person? Like a lot of girls, like I write their names and the other person's last name, and you imagine like what your kids would be called, like all those things, and you're just like, well, that's kind of like the cart before the horse thing. Like we're not there yet; it's not the right time, and it's and these.
I remember doing that too, and then you do all these little. Oh, we got to do the compatibility test to see if we're made for each other.
Yeah. And all these things. It's fun things.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's this. So
it feeds the fantasy.
Yeah. So I would say
fantasy.
As a teenager, it's too early to date, I would think.
Yes.
I think as a teenager, it's too early to date. Although 19, you're still a teenager. And that's kind of like, it's okay, but I just think that you have to like really understand why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And if it's and why
and know yourself. I didn't know myself. I thought I knew myself. I know what I'm not going to do. I am not going to accept. I will not. I didn't know myself well enough to go there because in high school I was actually better at putting the boundary lines down than when I was out of high school and thinking I'm not getting married. Now I'm setting aside my values because I desperately want a guy in my life.
Mhm.
Stupid.
I know. That's what happens to a lot, especially women when they do have the regret for going too far. It's because like they thought that they needed to in order to maintain the relationship.
Yeah. And then when the relationship dissolved, you're left holding nothing.
Or even if it continues and you do get married, like there's usually regret involved in that. And it doesn't mean that, it was, again, was it the right time? There's a time and place for things. And even
Yep.
if you do get married to them, there's a time and place for things. And,
Yep.
and before marriage is not it.
And what if that person wasn't a good person to be with in the first place?
No, and we don't mean physically. We just mean as a person of character.
Yep. Because
There's those people who are like, we have to sleep together because we have to see if we're physically compatible. And I'm like, if you have a slot A and a slot B, you're pretty much compatible with slot A and point B.
I didn't know we were going to go anyways.
It's like when my parents used to tell me, they'd give me these parts for the hoses and they'd be like, you need to get a female part. There's the female part and the male part. And I could not for the life of me ever in my entire life ask for anything like that. I would just go find it myself. I was not asking anybody for a female hose part or a male one.
Yeah. And if in the barbecue world, it's the same thing. You need a male flare and a male flare. Like, what? Isn't that wrong? Anyways, but there other compatibilities. Just because you can sleep with somebody doesn't mean you're compatible with that person, because that's like 1% of your time.
Mhm.
There are a lot of hours awake, and there are
You
a lot
need to
of
see, like, if you can get along with them on a regular basis, like a regular daily life. And I don't mean
Yep.
living together. I mean, like, your interactions when you're having dinner or you're going for a walk and, like, all the stuff that you would normally be doing. And that's, like, I think better for, like, a dating scenario is less
Yep.
to do with the physical side of things and more to do with, like,
A-
how do
and-
we go about our lives?
and how do they react to putting together IKEA furniture?
What?
Trust me, if they're throwing the furniture because they can't put it together, that's a big red flag. Get out of there right quick.
Also getting furious when you don't shine a light in the right place.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that too.
Or trying to backing up a truck to put on a trailer and you're going like, but it's all wrong.
Yeah, that too. or they've taken apart your stereo because it wasn't working. Now it's never going to work. How many things have you taken apart today? Oh, just the toaster. We need a new one now.
Reminds me of the Young Sheldon scene where young Sheldon takes apart the fridge.
Although sometimes that can be funny, but it depends upon what really happened to the toaster.
If you needed one anyway, but then if you, yeah.
But there are like they say, what is their character? You want to know what their character is, and their sense of integrity and their morals and their values, and do they line up with yours? And number one,
I think,
are they Christian?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, definitely.
But I was just gonna say, like, I think you see, like, it's easier to see character when you're in a group setting, when you're interacting with multiple people, because how you treat the person that you really like and you're trying to impress and even have feelings for is like way different sometimes than how you treat other people. And how the person treats other people, it will generally be how they will eventually treat you.
Yeah. How many close friends do they have? Because close friends have a lot to say about a person's character.
Mhm.
If they have no close friends, if they don't associate with other people, or if they have, acquaintances, but nobody that they talk with,
Maintain a relationship with.
yeah. Like,
family members too.
yeah, and family members too. Like, how are they with their family members? If they don't have good family relationships, that might be something to look into. My best friend, Michelle, I've known her since I was 12 years old. She's going to be 61. Wow, she's going to be 61 in September.
She's an old lady.
She's an old bag. But even before her is my friend Shauna, that I've known since I was 6. And she is a Christian, and I didn't know that about her, but I found out about that when I went to go visit her. And after she'd gotten married, and I'm just like, she's got an Answers in Genesis book. Wow. But this is distance kind of thing. But even like with you guys, like we've known each other now since about 2017, 2018.
Mhm.
And look at how close we are. Like we consider each other like siblings. And these are the kind of things that you want to look for when you're wanting to date somebody. Like, what are their relationships like? How close are they with their friends? And what do they do together as friends? Because
So as a teenager, I think like doing stuff in friendship groups is probably like the best way.
yeah,
Even if you end up meeting the person that you end up marrying,
being in a
it's not
friendship
the
group.
time. It's not the time and place for a physical relationship. It's not the time and place really for a romantic relationship at that younger age. But you can definitely build friendship relationships,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's you keep
Oh.
them in perspective and you set those boundaries there.
And that's the thing about love, because if it is real, it will be there 5 years down the road.
Hmm.
It's not going to, oh, if I don't get to this right now, it's going to go away. It won't. Not if it's true.
No.
It won't go away. Not if it's true.
So yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, so we'll continue on in this topic. I think we have quite a few things to talk about, like maybe things like why are we dating? What's the purpose of it? How about things like online dating? Is it good, bad, anything
Ugly.
in between? And how do you actually look to find a spouse? How can we do that? So there's lots of things that we still want to talk about when it comes to this topic. But yeah, we're already at the hour mark according to my recording, so maybe we'll leave it there for tonight. But I think
Okay.
it's a good topic, and I think it's one that people ask questions about, like you did. And I think it's good to start with teenagers because that's where
Where
everything
you-
starts, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, thank you for listening, and we will continue on with this topic next time, dealing with why we're dating, why that more deeply, because we did talk a little bit about it, but sort of more like, why do we want to date? And then maybe what's the purpose? Because we've talked about this a little bit before, but we'll go in a little more deeply. So for next time. So if you want to, just like let us know about your experiences with dating, maybe, or even what you think about this episode. Leave us a review if you wouldn't mind, or find us and subscribe. Give us 5 stars, all those things, because it's good. It's not just that we feel good about it. It's more like so that other people can find us. So like the more people that like it, the more people that listen, the more people that leave reviews or stars.
Yep.
It makes the algorithms pass that along so other people can see it.
Yeah. So that's why we ask like, subscribe.
Find our social medias, like, subscribe there too.
Get that little bell for all notifications.
Yeah.
That's on the YouTube
Ding that
one.
bell. Yeah.
Ding.
Ding that bell. So yeah.
Yep.
And we hope that you have a great week, and we will see you all here next time.
Bye for now. David?
Bye-bye.
Delayed reaction. Bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode. But this conversation is just getting started. If you've ever wondered when or why you should date, or even how to navigate it with your faith intact, you're not alone. And we'll be picking this topic up again next time. If today's episode encouraged you or made you think, would you do us a favor? Like, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. It really helps more people discover Route 77. You can also follow us on social media. We're always up for hearing your thoughts and questions. Until next time, remember, singleness isn't just a waiting room. It's a season with its own purpose. And also, remember to live your single life to its fullest.